Needless Things.
Hey, Phantomaniacs, and welcome to another NeedlessThingsSite.com toy review. I'm Phantom Troublemaker, and I'm here to talk to you about some action figures. As a matter of fact, this is something a little different because the first ones I did were all MattyCollector.com figures. But I don't just collect Mattel stuff. I'd be kind of miserable if I did. Today, I've got something a little different for you. I've got Hoth Luke Skywalker from Hasbro, from Star Wars, obviously. And this is a figure that was eluding me for quite some time. I'm really big. Hoth is one of my favorite planets in Star Wars. When I was a kid, all that Hoth stuff was some of my favorites. I had, all of the bases, the little Imperial base with the exploding campsite or whatever the heck it was, and the big cannon for the rebels. Loved the Hoth stuff. One thing that I never had was a Tauntaun with the opening belly, but I had several just standard Tauntauns. I think my mom probably thought the belly was a little gruesome, and she was probably right. But anyway, love the Hoth stuff, and Luke here is really the only Hoth figure that I would consider essential that I haven't had until I happened to find him at a Target the other day, which is kind of crazy because he's been out for a very long time. I don't know what he was doing showing up there, but I'm glad I found him. The packaging here is the standard Star Wars Vintage Collection packaging, just a simple blister card. Very old school. This is what we had back in the day when I was a kid, back in the late 70s, early 80s, collecting these things. This is exactly what they came on. Flimsy cardboard and a little plastic blister. Very easy, my absolute favorite kind of packaging. Looks really sharp. It brings up nostalgia. When they first started releasing the Vintage Collection figures, I had a hard time opening the first few I bought because it evoked such a strong nostalgia in me. They looked so nice, but I knew I would end up keeping a bunch on the card just to do it, like any Boba Fett's I bought would go up on the wall. So I've got plenty of them carded on the wall. I don't feel bad at all opening them up now. On the back, you don't have any kind of bio or anything because back in the day, we didn't have bios. All we've got is, hey, look at these other characters that are available as well. That some of which will also be as hard to find as Luke Skywalker in his Hoth outfit, which I find to be kind of a humorous choice of description for this guy. Luke Skywalker Hoth outfit. Let's go ahead and open him up and see what we've got here. Blister card just pops right off, which is what I love about these things. You don't have to worry about keeping this. There's no, you've got the proof of purchase right there, but I don't think Hasbro has been doing any, or as it says on the package here, Kenner. I don't think they've been doing any mail-aways, so no need to keep that anymore. Luke pops out. He's got his little fold-up deal here. Oh, look at that! Prove me wrong, why don't you? Life-size Darth Maul giveaway. And while I wouldn't mind having a life-size Darth Maul, I don't have anywhere to put a life-size Darth Maul, so I'm not going to worry about that. Instead, I'm just going to worry about Luke. Now, one nice thing here is we don't have any rubber bands securing anything in the package. No twist ties, nothing. Everything just pops right out here. And Luke's blaster almost bends in too, but whatever, it's made of rubber, just like every other frickin' gun you're going to get with a toy nowadays, so who cares? Alright. Luke, at first glance, obviously this is a heck of an update from the old figure from probably 1981, early 1982, whenever the original came out, and unless I'm mistaken, I think the very first Luke in Hoth outfit was a mail-away figure. I seem to remember it taking a while for me to get him. And while this figure is very reminiscent of that figure, especially once you put his little headgear here on him. So check that out. But while he is reminiscent of that figure, he certainly is an upgrade. I don't feel like this is right at all. Something tells me that needs a little bit of work. I'll figure that out later, maybe off camera. But he's got a little collar here. You can see that collar is a separate piece that comes on and off. I don't know how necessary that really is. He's got a little hole in the back of his neck there. That thing pops right in just to keep it in place. We'll get that head back on. And I'm just going to leave the embarrassing shame of not being able to figure this particular thing out. We'll get to that in a minute. So, sculpt-wise, well, articulation-wise, guy's got swivel pivot shoulders. I don't like calling those ball joints because they're not technically. You've got a pivot and you've got a swivel pivot. He's got the same deal going on in his elbows. That elbow, which I am a big fan of that as opposed to the bicep cut. I would much rather have it there at the elbow because it's less visible. His wrists swivel around. He's got an abdominal joint here that twists and bends. So that's pretty fancy. Good for him. Way to go, Luke. You're going to be fun for the ladies. And those are some tauntaun riding legs, folks. To put this guy on a tauntaun, you'll just have to manipulate things just a little bit. But there you go. He is ready for tauntaun riding, getting knocked off by a wampa action. You've got the same sort of swivel pivot joint on the hips there. Same deal going on with the knees. Got a pivot and they can swivel 360 degrees. And then the ankles have the same business there. Everything on this guy swivels and pivots, which I think is great. And one really good move here, he's got a lot of any parts that might interfere with articulation are a soft plastic. You can see where he's got a slit right here on his little skirt portion, so that leg can go all the way out, and you've got enough give for it to move. Same thing with the bottoms of his shoes here. They managed to make his legging look correct. I'll move that back so you can see it and it's not all blurry. But it's soft, so it moves out of the way when you bend his foot. So that's great. Really, this guy is just a piece of design magic. I would never, well, not never, but a few years ago, I wouldn't have believed you could have given me this much articulation, this much accuracy sculpt-wise in a 3 3/4 inch or 4 inch scale, whatever these are now, figure. But we've got it here. I mean, he looks really, really good. Paint-wise, everything is very tight and defined. Nothing gets sloppy. You can see he's got lots of... You can see he's got lots of little insignias here. They all are painted. Nothing is just a silver blotch. Everything has detail. It all looks good. Even the pouches on the back of his belt have buttons. So this guy is tons of paint. Certainly more than you would see on most of your Masters of the Universe Classics figures. There's even detailing on his little wrist comm unit there. So they've really done a good job painting this guy. It all looks accurate to the movie. There's no weirdness where you look at it and you're kind of like, I don't know, is that really what that guy looked like? I'm not so sure. Maybe not so much, but no, they nailed it. They did a good job here. And man, I cannot figure out for the life of me. Oh, wait. Hang on just a minute. I think I just solved this problem. Yes, sir. Look at that. I am a super genius. I just didn't expect that thing to cover his face up quite like that. There you go. That's what you get when you put his little scarf goggle combo on him. I just remember that was odd because I remember the old figure, that little hanging part there from the scarf, You see that? That thing was hanging off the side of his head. So I wasn't really expecting it to fit like that. So anyway, paint's good. Articulation is good. Sculpt is good. Accessory-wise, he comes with an ignited lightsaber, and I still don't understand for the life of me why they put the mounting notch, or stub, whatever you want to call that thing. Why do they put that on lightsabers that are activated? You're not going to hang that thing off of your belt. That's ridiculous. I've got a nice little paint job on it. Just a little bit of black on there. No big deal, but that's what Luke's lightsaber looked like in Empire. And this has the flare above the hilt. I don't know if I prefer the flare or not. It looks cool and all, but kind of didn't look like that in the movies so much. It was more of just a slender tube. And then here we have the deactivated lightsaber, which that one, nothing wrong at all with that thing having the little nub on it. And said nub fits perfectly onto Luke's utility belt right there. Looks good, looks natural. The nub is somewhat visible, but it's not too bad. It looks good. I think they did a good job with that. And then you have Luke's blaster, which is a Blastech. I don't know. I'm sure it's a Blastech, but I don't know what kind it is. It's not Solo's. It's not a DL-44. But it looks cool. I dig it. And again, one of the important parts is it fits into his holster right there. And it fits into his hand. Yes, awesome, great job, Hasbro. So, unlike the Star Wars figures that I had when I was a kid that all held their weapons like that, this Luke could potentially shoot somebody and put him out of commission because he can actually hold his blaster properly and aim it right at you. And just stick that right back in that holster. So, lightsaber fits in hand, and honestly, I might cut that little nub off. I don't know, we'll see. But if you do one of those, holds his lightsaber just fine. Perfect for wampa arm cutting action. All in all, I've got to say I'm very happy with this guy. The paint's great, the sculpt is great, the articulation is great. I'm still not quite at the point where I'm comfortable paying $10 for a 3 3/4 inch figure, but that's what they cost now. So I've got to deal with it if I want to buy them. And I've got to say I've cut my Star Wars purchasing back significantly. It's just, that's how it is. But this Luke right here, I've got to give him a 5 out of 5. There's not a single thing I would change about him. I feel good about having spent the money on him, and he's essential for your collection if you've got Hoth stuff. So go out and buy him. This is Phantom Troublemaker telling you 5 out of 5 for Luke Skywalker in Hoth outfit from the Star Wars Vintage Collection. I'll see you next time. In the meanwhile, check out needlessthingssite.com for the full article on this with detailed pictures and any thoughts I might have forgotten to mention during the review. Later.
Needless things.